Stop scrolling and pay attention, because some of the most valuable coins in American history are not gold, not silver, and not locked inside museums. They are simple 1-cent Lincoln Wheat Pennies that once passed through ordinary hands and were ignored for decades. These small copper coins look common, but a few rare dates and varieties have shocked collectors by selling for thousands, and in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars. What makes them powerful is not just their value, but the stories they carry: war, survival, mistakes, and history frozen in metal. Today, we reveal the top 5 Lincoln Wheat Pennies that every collector dreams of finding. Coins so rare and important that one discovery can change everything. So let's get started. First up, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny, with no mint mark, stands as a copper witness to a nation fully engaged in global war. A 1-cent coin born during one of the most intense and demanding years in American history. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the absence of any mint mark beneath the date, this penny circulated when victory was not yet guaranteed and sacrifice was a daily reality. Though small and humble, it carries the emotional weight of an entire generation. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse takes on deeper meaning in 1944. Lincoln, the president who preserved the Union through civil war, appeared on a coin used during another defining struggle. His steady gaze and firm expression reflect resolve, discipline, and moral strength. On well-preserved examples, the fine details of Lincoln's hair, coat, and facial structure remain visible. On most surviving coins, these features are softened, revealing years of hard circulation during wartime. The reverse design, with 2 wheat ears framing 1 cent, symbolizes food, labor, and survival. In 1944, wheat was not merely symbolic, it was essential. American farms fed both civilians and troops overseas, and food rationing shaped daily life. The wheat ears on this penny represent the farmers, workers, and families who supported the war effort from home, often without recognition. The year 1944 places this coin at the heart of World War II. This penny circulated during the D-Day invasion, during battles across Europe and the Pacific, and during a time when uncertainty filled every home. It passed through hands that read wartime headlines, wrote letters to soldiers, and waited anxiously for news. Few coins are so closely tied to moments that changed the world. Metal composition gives the 1944 wheat penny exceptional importance. After the steel cents of 1943, the U.S. Mint returned to copper-based planchets in 1944, many of which were made from recycled wartime materials such as shell casings. This connection transforms the coin into more than currency. It becomes a symbol of transformation, where instruments of war were reshaped into tools of everyday life. Because the 1944 wheat penny was struck in large quantities, many assume it is common. However, condition tells a very different story. Most examples were heavily circulated during and after the war, resulting in flattened wheat ears, worn lettering, and smooth high points on Lincoln's face. Coins that retain strong detail, full rims, and clean surfaces are far scarcer than raw mintage numbers suggest. Color is another critical factor in evaluating a 1944 no mint mark wheat penny. Most surviving examples are brown, showing decades of exposure to air and handling. Red-brown pieces are less common, and fully red examples are rare and highly prized. Original color suggests careful storage and minimal environmental damage over many decades. Mint errors add excitement and mystery to the 1944 wheat penny. Die cracks, off-center strikes, weak strikes, and planchet flaws can sometimes be found. Wartime production pressures increased the likelihood of such errors slipping through quality control. Today, even a small error can elevate a common coin into a significant collector piece. The Philadelphia Mint in 1944 worked relentlessly to supply the nation with coinage during wartime. Pennies like this one were essential for daily transactions, buying bread, paying fares, and supporting local businesses. The 1944 wheat penny was not saved at birth. It was used again and again until its details slowly faded. Emotionally, this coin carries a heavy presence. It circulated when families lived with ration books, blackout curtains, and constant concern for loved ones overseas. It was present during moments of fear endurance, and determination. Every worn surface is evidence of those lived experiences. The Wheat Penny series itself adds lasting importance to the 1944 issue. With the design ending in 1958, all wheat pennies now belong to a closed chapter of American coinage. Each surviving piece represents a fixed supply that can never be replaced. As time moves forward, their historical relevance only increases. Collectors value the 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny because it blends accessibility with deep historical meaning. While examples can still be found in old collections, jars, and estate holdings, truly high-grade pieces are increasingly difficult to locate. This balance keeps the coin relevant to both beginners and advanced collectors. Beyond monetary considerations, the true power of the 1944 wheat penny lies in what it represents. It is a symbol of endurance, recycling, unity, and sacrifice. It reminds us that even in the darkest times, everyday objects continue to serve, connect, and support society. Every scratch, rim nick, and softened detail on a 1944 wheat penny tells a silent story. These marks are not damage, they are proof of survival. They show that the coin lived through extraordinary circumstances and emerged intact. As global interest in historical coinage continues to grow, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny gains recognition as a cultural artifact rather than spare change. Its value is rooted not only in rarity or condition, but in the unmatched story it carries. Holding a 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny is holding a fragment of wartime America. Small, unassuming, and often overlooked, this 1-cent coin carries the weight of courage, effort, and resilience. Its power is quiet, but its legacy is permanent, preserved forever in copper. The 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny, with no mint mark, stands as a copper witness to a nation fully engaged in global war, a 1-cent coin born during one of the most intense and demanding years in American history. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the absence of any mint mark beneath the date, this penny circulated when victory was not yet guaranteed and sacrifice was a daily reality. Though small and humble, it carries the emotional weight of an entire generation. Next up, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny, with no mint mark, is a powerful copper witness to one of the most important turning points in modern history. Struck in Philadelphia, the absence of a mint mark beneath the date tells us this coin was produced at the main U.S. Mint during the final year of World War II. This single-cent coin is not just currency. It is a survivor of global conflict, sacrifice, relief, and renewed hope. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse carries extraordinary meaning in 1945. Lincoln, the president who preserved the Union during the Civil War, appeared on a coin circulating at the very moment another devastating war came to an end. His steady expression reflects endurance, unity, and moral strength. On well-preserved examples, Lincoln's hair detail, coat lines, and facial features remain sharp. On most circulated pieces, these details are softened, showing just how long and heavily the coin was used. The reverse design, featuring 2 wheat ears surrounding the denomination, symbolizes food, labor, and survival. During wartime America, wheat was more than a symbol, it was essential. Families rationed food, farmers worked relentlessly, and every resource mattered. The wheat ears on the 1945 penny represent the backbone of the nation, the workers and farmers who supported the war effort from home. The year 1945 gives this coin unmatched historical gravity. This penny was struck as Allied forces advanced, as victory in Europe was declared, and as the war in the Pacific came to a close. It circulated during celebrations, homecomings, and moments of deep reflection. It passed through hands that had known fear, loss, and relief. Few coins carry such a direct connection to world-changing events. Unlike later wheat pennies, the 1945 issue was struck in copper-based alloy, following the steel cents of 1943. By 1945, Americans were relieved to see familiar copper pennies return to circulation. This return symbolized stability and a step back toward normal life after years of uncertainty. The warm tone of the 1945 penny reinforced that sense of comfort and continuity. Condition is critical when evaluating a 1945 no mint mark wheat penny. Because these coins circulated heavily during and after the war, most surviving examples show noticeable wear. Lincoln's cheek, jawline, and coat are often smooth, and the wheat ears on the reverse may appear flat. Coins that retain strong detail, full rims, and clean surfaces are far scarcer than many realize. Color plays an important role in collector appeal. Most 1945 wheat pennies are brown due to decades of exposure and handling. Red-brown examples are less common, and fully red examples are rare and highly desirable. Original color indicates limited environmental damage and careful preservation over many decades. Mint errors add another level of intrigue to the 1945 wheat penny. Die cracks, off-center strikes, weak strikes, and planchet flaws can occasionally be found. During wartime and immediate post-war production, mints operated under pressure, increasing the chance of minor errors slipping into circulation. Today, these errors can significantly elevate a coin's collector value. The Philadelphia Mint produced massive quantities of pennies in 1945 to support a nation transitioning from war to peace. These coins were essential for everyday transactions, buying food, paying fares, and supporting small businesses. The 1945 wheat penny became part of daily life at a moment when Americans were rebuilding their futures. The emotional weight of this coin is impossible to ignore. This penny circulated when soldiers returned home, when factories shifted from weapons to consumer goods, and when families began planning for a more hopeful future. It was present during one of the most meaningful transitions of the 20th century. The Wheat Penny series itself adds to the importance of the 1945 issue. With the design ending in 1958, every wheat penny represents a closed chapter in U.S. coinage. No more would ever be made, and each surviving piece becomes more historically significant as time passes. Collectors are drawn to the 1945 no mint mark wheat penny because it combines accessibility with deep historical relevance. While examples can still be found in old collections and estate holdings, truly high-grade pieces are increasingly difficult to locate. This makes the coin both approachable and challenging. Beyond monetary value, the 1945 wheat penny carries immense symbolic power. It represents endurance through hardship, the cost of freedom, and the quiet strength of everyday people. It reminds us that history is not only written in books, but carried in pockets and passed from hand to hand. Every scratch and worn edge on a 1945 wheat penny is evidence of survival. These marks are not flaws. They are proof that the coin lived through extraordinary times. Each one tells a silent story of movement, exchange, and resilience. As global interest in historic coinage grows, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny continues to gain recognition as a true historical artifact. Its value lies not only in rarity or condition, but in the unmatched story it represents. Holding a 1945 no mint mark wheat penny is holding a fragment of world history. Small, humble, and unassuming, this 1-cent coin carries the weight of war, peace, and renewal. Its power is quiet but undeniable, preserved forever in copper. Next up, the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny stands as a quiet but powerful symbol of mid-century America, a 1-cent coin struck in copper that carries the weight of work, discipline, and endurance. Minted at the Denver Mint and marked with the small but meaningful D beneath the date, this coin belongs to the final chapter of the legendary wheat penny era. Every surviving example today has traveled through time, shaped by circulation, human hands, and historical change. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse reflects strength and resolve. His image on the 1953 wheat penny is not merely decorative. It represents unity during a period when the United States was adjusting to a new global role. The sharpness of Lincoln's hair, the outline of his coat, and the clarity of his facial features are key indicators of preservation. Coins with strong detail command attention because most examples were worn down through heavy everyday use. The reverse of the coin features 2 wheat ears surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America. This design symbolizes agriculture, stability, and prosperity, values deeply rooted in American identity. On high-grade 1953 wheat pennies, the wheat kernels appear bold and separated, while worn examples show smoothness, where decades of circulation erased fine detail. Each level of wear tells its own story. The Denver Mint in 1953 operated at full speed to meet the demands of a growing economy. Pennies were essential for commerce, wages, and daily transactions. Although millions of 1953 wheat pennies were produced, most entered circulation immediately and remained there for years. As a result, truly well-preserved pieces are far scarcer today than raw mintage numbers suggest. Metal composition adds another layer of significance. The 1953 wheat penny was struck in copper, giving a warm tone that collectors admire. Over time, copper reacts with air and handling, resulting in brown or red-brown surfaces. Coins that retain original red color are especially desirable, as they indicate minimal exposure and careful preservation. Color alone can dramatically affect collector interest. Errors and varieties make the 1953 wheat penny especially exciting. During high-speed production, minting mistakes such as die cracks, off-center strikes, weak strikes, and repunched mint marks sometimes occurred. These errors were not intentional, yet they escaped into circulation. Today, collectors carefully inspect every 1953 wheat penny because a small anomaly can transform a common coin into a valuable discovery. The historical setting of 1953 adds depth to this coin's identity. The Korean War was nearing its end, American industries were expanding, and families were settling into a new rhythm of life. Coins like the 1953 wheat penny passed through diners, gas stations, corner stores, and school cafeterias. They were part of everyday routines, silently witnessing a nation rebuilding and moving forward. Condition is the defining factor in the long-term appeal of the 1953 wheat penny. Coins with full rims, clean fields, and sharp lettering are increasingly difficult to locate. On most surviving examples, Lincoln's cheek and jawline show wear, and the wheat ears appear flattened. Each missing detail reflects years of circulation and use. The wheat penny series ended in 1958, giving coins like the 1953 added importance. Once the design changed, the era closed permanently. No more wheat pennies would ever be produced. This fixed supply means demand continues to grow as collectors seek to complete date-in collections or upgrade existing examples. For many collectors, the 1953 wheat penny represents a balance between accessibility and challenge. It is common enough to be found in old rolls, inherited collections, or forgotten jars, yet difficult enough in high grade to remain desirable. This balance keeps interest strong across generations of collectors. Beyond financial value, the emotional and historical significance of the 1953 wheat penny is what truly sets it apart. It represents a time when money was tangible, when a single cent mattered, and when coins stayed in circulation for decades. Modern coins rarely carry the same sense of permanence or connection. Every scratch, tone change, and worn edge on a 1953 wheat penny is evidence of real life. These coins were not meant to be stored away. They were meant to be used. That usage is what gives them character and authenticity that cannot be recreated. As interest in classic American coinage continues to grow worldwide, the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny gains recognition as more than just spare change. It is a cultural artifact, a piece of everyday history preserved in copper. Its value lies not only in rarity or condition, but in the story it carries through time. Holding a 1953 wheat penny is holding a fragment of American life from the early 1950s. Quiet, durable, and enduring, this 1-cent coin proves that true power does not always come in large or flashy forms. Sometimes it rests in the smallest details, waiting to be noticed by those who understand its history. The 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny represents a powerful moment frozen in copper, a small 1-cent coin that quietly carries the weight of American history, labor, and survival. Struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small but important D mint mark beneath the date, this coin belongs to the final decade of the legendary Wheat Penny series. Every example that still exists today has passed through countless hands, pockets, and places, absorbing decades of real human life into its surface. The obverse of the coin features Abraham Lincoln, a symbol of unity and endurance. His portrait on the 1952 D. Wheat Penny is more than a design. It is a statement of national identity. The lines of his face, the strength of his jaw, and the calm seriousness in his expression reflect the values America held tightly during the early 1950s. When this coin was minted, the nation was balancing post-war recovery with global uncertainty, and Lincoln's image served as a reminder of leadership during hardship. The reverse design, with two wheat ears framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, symbolizes growth, agriculture, and prosperity. Wheat was a universal sign of survival and food security, especially meaningful to families who had lived through the Great Depression and World War II. On well-preserved 1952 D pennies, the wheat lines are sharp and full, while on circulated examples they appear soft and worn, showing how long the coin remained in daily use. The Denver Mint played a crucial role in producing coinage for a growing nation. In 1952, millions of pennies were struck to support commerce across the western and central United States. Although the mintage numbers were high, condition is what separates ordinary examples from collectible treasures. Most 1952 D. Wheat pennies were heavily circulated, meaning truly sharp, well-struck coins are far scarcer today than many people realize. Surface condition is one of the most important factors in determining the desirability of a 1952 D. Wheat penny. Coins that retain strong detail in Lincoln's hair, coat, and cheek are increasingly difficult to find. On the reverse, collectors look for clearly defined wheat kernels and bold lettering. Each missing detail tells a story of years spent in circulation, while each preserved detail increases historical and collector value. Color also plays a major role in the appeal of this coin. The 1952 D. Wheat penny was struck in copper, and over time copper naturally tones. Brown examples are the most common, red-brown examples are less common, and bright red examples are the most sought after. A red 1952 D. Wheat penny suggests minimal exposure to air and handling, making it a standout piece in any collection. Beyond standard strikes, the 1952 D. Wheat penny is known for the possibility of mint errors and varieties. Die cracks, off-center strikes, weak strikes, and repunched mint marks can all add significant interest and value. These errors occurred during high-speed production and were never intended to reach the public, yet many escaped detection. Today, collectors carefully examine every 1952 D. penny because a small anomaly can transform a simple coin into a rare find. Historically, the year 1952 was filled with tension and transformation. The Korean War continued overseas, while American industry expanded at home. Pennies like the 1952 D. moved through factory payrolls, corner stores, diners, and movie theaters. They were part of everyday life, used without thought, yet essential to every transaction. Each coin silently witnessed a nation in motion. What gives the 1952 D. Wheat penny its lasting power is the fact that the Wheat Penny series ended just 6 years later, in 1958. Once the design changed, the era closed forever. No more wheat pennies would ever be made. That finality gives every surviving wheat penny added importance. As years pass, fewer remain in collectible condition, and demand continues to grow. Collectors value the 1952 D. Wheat penny not only for its age, but for its role as a bridge between eras. It belongs to a time when coins were meant to circulate for decades, when metal mattered, and when a single cent could buy real goods. Modern coins rarely carry that same emotional and historical weight. From a collector's perspective, the 1952 D. Wheat penny is both accessible and challenging. It is accessible because examples can still be found in old collections, rolls, and inherited jars. It is challenging because finding one in high grade, with strong color and clean surfaces, requires patience and knowledge. This balance makes the coin especially appealing to both beginners and experienced collectors. Every scratch, tone, and worn edge on a 1952 D. Wheat penny represents movement through time. Unlike untouched museum pieces, these coins lived real lives. They were dropped, counted, traded, and saved. That history cannot be replicated, and it cannot be replaced. The long-term outlook for wheat pennies continues to strengthen as interest in classic American coinage grows worldwide. As fewer high-quality examples remain available, Coins like the 1952 D gain recognition not just as collectibles, but as cultural artifacts. They tell stories of work, survival, and everyday dignity. Holding a 1952 D Lincoln Wheat Penny is holding a piece of mid-20th century America. It is a reminder that value is not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it is small, quiet, and overlooked, waiting for someone who understands its story. This single cent carries more than monetary worth. It carries memory, identity, and time itself. Next up, the 1951 D Lincoln Wheat Penny exists as a strong and enduring reminder of post-war America, a 1-cent coin that quietly absorbed the energy, labor, and determination of an entire generation. Struck at the Denver Mint and marked by the clear D Mint mark beneath the date, this coin was created during a time when the nation was rebuilding, expanding, and redefining itself. Though small in size, the 1951 D Wheat Penny carries an outsized historical presence. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse reflects dignity and resolve. By 1951, Lincoln's image had already appeared on the penny for more than 4 decades, becoming a familiar symbol of unity and moral strength. On well-preserved 1951 D examples, the details of Lincoln's hair, coat, and facial features remain sharp and expressive. On circulated coins, these details are softened, showing the passage of time and constant handling through daily commerce. The reverse design, featuring 2 wheat ears framing the denomination, represents abundance, growth, and stability. This design spoke directly to American values during the early 1950s, when agriculture and industry worked together to fuel economic recovery. On high-grade 1951 D Wheat Pennies, the wheat kernels are bold and clearly separated. On worn examples, the wheat appears flattened, revealing how heavily these coins circulated. The Denver Mint was a major producer of coinage during this period, supplying the western and central United States with essential currency. Millions of 1951 D Wheat pennies were struck to meet demand, yet most entered circulation immediately and remained in use for many years. As a result, finding examples today with strong detail, clean surfaces, and original color is far more difficult than mintage figures suggest. Copper composition plays a vital role in the identity of the 1951 D Wheat penny. Struck primarily from copper, the coin originally displayed a bright red tone. Over decades, exposure to air, moisture, and handling caused most examples to tone into red-brown or brown. Coins that retain their original red color are especially desirable, as they indicate minimal environmental damage and careful preservation. Condition remains the single most important factor when evaluating a 1951 D Wheat penny. Collectors closely examine Lincoln's cheekbone, jawline, and coat for wear, as these areas lose detail first. On the reverse, the wheat ears and lettering reveal how much circulation the coin experienced. Full rims, sharp lettering, and minimal marks significantly increase collector appeal. Mint errors and varieties add an extra layer of excitement to the 1951 D Wheat penny. During high-speed production, mistakes such as die cracks, off-center strikes, weak strikes, and repunched mint marks occasionally occurred. These errors were never intended to leave the mint, yet some entered circulation unnoticed. Today, such anomalies can dramatically elevate a coin's importance and value. The historical context of 1951 adds depth to this coin story. The United States was engaged in the Korean War, industries were booming, and families were settling into new routines shaped by post-war optimism. The 1951 D Wheat penny moved through hands at grocery stores, gas stations, factories, and schools. It played a role in everyday life, quietly supporting millions of transactions. Unlike modern coins that often disappear from circulation quickly, wheat pennies were built to last. The 1951 D Wheat penny circulated for decades, sometimes passing through multiple generations before being saved or set aside. This long life contributes to its character and historical authenticity. The Wheat Penny series itself adds significance to the 1951 D issue. With a design ending in 1958, every wheat penny represents a closed chapter in American coinage. No more wheat pennies would ever be minted, making each surviving example part of a finite supply. As time passes, fewer remain in collectible condition, increasing long-term interest. For collectors, the 1951 Wheat penny offers both accessibility and challenge. It can still be found in old collections, inherited jars, and estate holdings. Yet locating a high-grade example with strong color and minimal marks requires patience and knowledge. This balance keeps the coin relevant and engaging for collectors at all levels. Beyond monetary considerations, the emotional power of the 1951 Wheat penny lies in its connection to everyday life. It represents a time when coins mattered, when saving pennies was a common habit, and when money was tangible and trusted. Modern coinage rarely carries the same emotional resonance. Every scratch, discoloration, and worn edge on a 1951 Wheat penny tells a story of movement, exchange, and survival. These marks are not flaws but evidence of authenticity, proof that the coin lived a real life in a real economy. As global interest in classic American coinage continues to grow, the 1951 Lincoln Wheat penny gains recognition as a historical artifact rather than simple spare change. Its value is rooted in history, scarcity of high-grade examples, and the stories it carries forward through time. Holding a 1951 Wheat penny is holding a fragment of early 1950s America. Quiet, durable, and meaningful, this 1-cent coin proves that power does not need to be loud or large. Sometimes it exists in copper, patience, and the passage of time, waiting to be understood.